So we're officially 250 plus miles into the Nike Zoom Fly 4, a shoe with a lot of controversy still behind it, and I want to start addressing some of the major cons I'm experiencing at this point in time with this shoe. So let's get into it. So what is up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Filip Latocha. As you can guess by the title of this video, we're talking about the Nike Zoom Fly 4 after 250 plus miles, which is a very important mark in a lot of shoes that I test and I basically daily train in, because that's kind of where you start seeing the fight or flight of the shoe. So before we get into it, make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel. If you're already subscribed to the channel and you enjoy watching the content, thanks so much. Love you guys a lot. Make sure you follow me on Strava, on Instagram, all other sorts of social medias you may find me on. I think the links are in the description below. So thanks again. Let's get into it. Specs are up here for the Zoom Fly 4. And I guess we're going to just start off with things that I've already discussed. One, I mean, obviously I know that I'm milking this shoe for this channel every 50 plus miles, but it's very important at this point in time because there were cons to this shoe that I had not experienced before, and they're becoming a lot more profound at this point in time. So first things first, let's check out the outsoles and bottoms of both shoes respectively. So here we go. This is the left foot, there's the right foot, and there's their respective heels. So I guess we'll start off again with the right foot. As you can already see, I'm losing a little bit of material here on the outer side of the right foot, which is something I'm expecting. And at this point in time, the shoe is still about 90% to 10% in terms of 90% of the miles have been put on the treadmill and 10% have been on the road. But despite all of that, the wear and tear is still going to be close to, if not exactly the same. I think on the treadmill you'll experience less other damages like rocks, pebbles, and maybe like dirt, whereas on the treadmill you're going to see a little bit more of that burn on the material of the shoe. So 250 plus miles in, I'm going to say that this top material is holding out pretty well in the the outsole area. I expected it to be a lot more dented compared to like the Vaporfly Next Percent having a very similar outer. Granted, I think maybe the React plays a little bit of part of having a little bit more firmness and a little bit more responsiveness compared to the Zoom X foam, and maybe this is why this material is not nearly as fatigued as I would say in like its racing predecessor, or maybe the rubber mix on the top is significantly different and it's just overall, responding differently to the build of the shoe overall. So I would say one of the cons that's obviously coming up, we'll start with the little one and we'll get to the big one next. I can start seeing that not this upper liner on the shoe, this upper textile, but the inner textile is beginning to rip. I want to see if I can find exactly where. It's right in this dirt patch. There's a little bit of a tear on the inside of the, the inside big toe area of my left foot, which is like, okay, I'm expecting these rips to happen, but usually I don't rip shoes, and that's because I'm not like pounding pavement like a maniac in them. The only shoes that I rip are the ones that are like either racing shoes or something I'm sprinting in. So that's kind of something interesting to observe. I wonder if this is just the case of how the upper is built. Secondly, again, the major con of this shoe that I think a lot of people have commented on a previous video for, that I'm experiencing a lot more profoundly now, is that in this left foot, there's this like painful cramping feeling in the center of the shoe here, but also now in this midfoot area just right across. I think it's more actually on the inside of my foot, and it's kind of similar to the Alpha Fly, where that plantar area is not necessarily sitting on something firm, and maybe because it's like slightly weaker feet from just being in running shoes all the time or just rehabilitating after an injury, but there's a lot of cramping in this foot, and it's hard to shake it off unless, like, when I'm running with this, I have this midfoot strike with the left foot. If I try to either supinate it or pronate it a little bit just to have like this extra, I guess the word is maybe a flexibility or an interest in the foot, that would kind of break the cramping away. But that cramping and that pain and that burning in the midfoot is becoming a lot more profound at this point in time. I don't know if it's as a result of this carbon plate and the React just losing life over time in like a half-life sense, or if the React itself is just fatigued to the point where it's not cooperating with the carbon plate. Maybe it's the way that the shoe is being tied on the upper. Maybe the upper is no longer as secure as it was before, and every time you're landing with the foot, it's kind of bouncing around in the shoe. It's hard to pinpoint exactly what's going on, but it's becoming a lot more uncomfortable to run in than when I had it for the first 50 miles, where I was like, wow, this is a great shoe. I like this. So that's one of the major cons I'm working with here in terms of the ride of this particular shoe. Now, in the right foot, that type of burn is not really there. So it could be an imbalance in the feet. It could be just the way that I'm striking with the shoes. It's very interesting, and I know a lot of people seem to extremely dislike this shoe for a number of different things, but again, maybe this is just natural shoe life. I don't hate this shoe right now. I just think it's very interesting that at this point in time, I'm experiencing this cramping in the foot, and maybe this is just the signal that this is the end of the life of the shoe, and maybe I just need to start washing it down, and maybe just have this as like something I walk around in the gym with, maybe take it on very easy runs, no tempo work in it, and then just kind of slowly ease in the tempo next percent into my running lineup once I can go ahead and buy one. But it's very interesting to observe nevertheless. So overall, so far at 250 plus miles on the shoe, it still has life. I can still continue running in this. I just have to be extra cautious as to what I use it for, because if I am running too fast, the left foot does begin to cramp, which is something I'm really not a fan of. And trying to break out of the cramp mid-run is very difficult. Even when you stop, it sometimes gets a little more profound. It's pretty tricky overall. So that's just something very interesting to observe at this point in time. I don't hate the shoe. It's just at this very second, I'm a little bit more neutral to kind of dislike of it. And I think that's just the natural shoe life, right? You're not going to love the shoe from start to finish when it starts ripping and the shoe doesn't feel right. That's just, it is what it is, right? We'll love the shoe at the very beginning, and maybe later on it's bad. Maybe you hate a shoe at the very beginning and you love it towards the end, kind of like the tempo next percent was for me. But, you know, it's hard to say. It's just, this is the natural lifespan of this shoe. And I think the last video I'm going to do on this will be probably the end of life, maybe at like 300, 350 plus miles. I don't think I'm going to do a 300 review just for the fun of it. I think we're going to do an end of life, wherever that distance may be with this thing. When A, I've either ripped this thing to the point of no return, or B, I've just had it and I'm not going to train in this thing. So I'm going to leave the video here. So thanks again for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one.